You are told it is a war between nations, a classic story of a bully and a victim, of good against evil, painted in the stark, simple colors of a children's fable, the David of Ukraine against the Goliath of Russia. This is the story you are fed every morning with your coffee, every evening on the nightly news. It is a simple, digestible narrative, and it is a deliberate, calculated lie. To understand what is truly happening, you must first unlearn this story. You must view the world not as a collection of nations with competing interests, but as a global chessboard. On this board, the presidents, prime ministers, and generals you see on your screen are not the players. They are the pieces. They move where they are told, sacrificed when necessary, all according to a strategy conceived by hands you never see. Have you ever stopped to ask the simple questions, the ones that unravel the entire tapestry if you pull on them hard enough? Why did sanctions, designed to cripple Russia, seem to boomerang with devastating precision against the economies of Europe, particularly the industrial heartland of Germany? Was this an unforeseen consequence, a simple miscalculation by the world's most brilliant economists? Or was the deindustrialization of a powerful competitor the intended outcome all along? They tell you of a united West standing in solidarity. Yet, while European citizens are told to lower their thermostats and prepare for a cold winter to punish Putin, American liquefied natural gas suppliers are reaping profits of an unprecedented scale. You are told that global corporations have fled Russia out of moral outrage. Yet BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, is a major shareholder in the very defense contractors supplying the weapons, the very media companies selling you the narrative, and, perhaps most tellingly, is already positioned with a memorandum of understanding to manage the reconstruction of a devastated Ukraine. Do you see the pattern? They profit from the demolition, and they will profit from the construction. It is the most profitable business model in human history. This is not a war for territory. It is a war for collapse, a controlled demolition of the old order. Before the first shot was ever fired, the architects of this new world had already published their blueprints. You don't need a secret informant to find them. They are publicly available, celebrated at lavish conferences in Davos, Switzerland. The plan has a name, a soft, optimistic, almost benevolent name: Build Back Better. It is the signature phrase of the World Economic Forum. They have spent years seeding this idea into the minds of the global political class. You've heard it from the President of the United States, the Prime Minister of Canada, the leader of the UK. A coincidence? Think of it not as a political slogan, but as a corporate branding strategy. And what is the product they are selling? A great reset. The WEF's own literature speaks of a fourth industrial revolution, where the lines between the physical, digital, and biological worlds are blurred, a world where private property is a quaint relic and you will own nothing and be happy. To get to that world, the old one must be cleared away. You cannot build back better on a solid foundation. You must first turn the existing structure into rubble. That is the true purpose of this conflict. It is the chaos catalyst. It is the ultimate problem in their timeless formula: problem, reaction, solution. The problem: a brutal, televised war that creates fear and uncertainty on a global scale. The reaction: the public, panicked by soaring energy prices, food shortages, and the threat of a wider conflict, demands that their governments do something. The solution: the very measures the architects wanted to implement all along. Massive government spending that fuels inflation, destroying your savings. The acceleration of a green agenda that dismantles energy independence and places control in the hands of a few select corporations. The normalization of supply chain disruptions, conditioning you to accept scarcity as the new normal. And finally, the justification for the ultimate tool of control: a central bank digital currency. Listen carefully. This is the part that they will never say out loud on their polished stages. Inflation is not a bug, it is a feature. The energy crisis is not an accident, it is a lever to force a transition into a system they own. The war itself is not the endgame, it is the perfect smokescreen, a grand spectacle of fire and fury to distract you while they rewire the entire financial and social operating system of the planet. They are not hiding their intentions, they are merely encoding them in the language of crisis management, sustainability, and equity. They are counting on you to be too distracted by the staged drama of the war to read their own white papers. They are counting on you to believe in the fairy tale of nations, while the real power consolidates behind the closed doors of unelected, unaccountable globalist institutions. The war in Ukraine is not the story, it is merely the first violent chapter of theirs. They tell you it is sacrifice, that the pain you feel at the gas pump, the shock you experience when you see your grocery bill, the chill in your home as you turn down the thermostat, these are the noble prices we must all pay for freedom. You are told this is a contribution, a small hardship born in solidarity with the people of Ukraine. They wrap your economic strangulation in a flag of blue and yellow and call it virtue. This is perhaps the most audacious lie of all. Let us be clear, your sacrifice is not funding freedom, it is funding the dividends of Raytheon's shareholders. Your shrinking savings are not defending democracy, they are underwriting the most profitable business venture on Earth, the perpetual war machine. Follow the money, not the sentimental headlines, but the cold hard numbers on the stock market ticker. On the day the conflict began, as the first images of smoke and fear were broadcast to the world, the stock prices of Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon didn't dip, they surged. As of today, many have seen gains of over 25%. While the world debated sanctions and prayed for peace, the merchants of chaos were popping champagne. For them, the news of war is not a tragedy, it is a quarterly earnings report. They call the over $100 billion sent to Ukraine aid. This is a carefully chosen word, designed to evoke images of charity and goodwill. It is a deception. This is not a gift. It is an investment, a circular flow of capital. Taxpayer money is funneled by politicians in Washington and Brussels not to Kyiv, but through Kyiv and directly back into the coffers of their own domestic military contractors. It is a laundromat for enriching the elite, using the blood and rubble of a foreign land as the cleaning agent. You are not paying to rebuild a Ukrainian school. You are paying for a new Javelin missile, and the politician who voted for that package is seeing his personal defense stock portfolio swell in value. But the war machine, for all its ghastly profitability, is merely the demolition crew. The true architects of this new world order do not deal in missiles, they deal in debt, assets, and control. They are the financial vultures circling high above the battlefield, waiting patiently for the cannons to fall silent. Look no further than BlackRock. While their media subsidiaries sell you the story of heroism and villainy, the asset management wing of their empire is playing a far more sophisticated game. Do you find it a coincidence that the world's largest asset manager, with nearly $10 trillion at its disposal, is a top shareholder in both the defense companies selling the weapons and the media companies selling the narrative? They profit from the fuse, they profit from the explosion, and they have already positioned themselves to profit from the ashes. It is a matter of public record, hidden in plain sight in the pages of the Financial Times and Reuters. The Ukrainian government has already signed a memorandum of understanding with BlackRock's Financial Markets Advisory Division. Their task? To coordinate investment and channel capital for the future reconstruction of Ukraine. The price tag for this reconstruction is estimated to be anywhere from $500 billion to over $1 trillion. Consider the sheer diabolic brilliance of this model. Step 1. Use your influence to fuel a conflict and arm both sides if possible. Step 2. Manage the resulting destruction. Step 3. Step in as the savior to manage the reconstruction funded by loans that will place the target nation in a state of perpetual debt servitude. Ukraine is being transformed, before our very eyes, into the ultimate asset, a failed state, entirely dependent on Western creditors, a New Age economic colony. This is not charity. This is the shock doctrine. This is Larry Fink's grand vision of a world remade in his corporate ESG-compliant image. And how will this all be paid for? This is where the final piece of the puzzle clicks into place. This is where the war abroad becomes a direct assault on you. While you were distracted by the drama on your TV screen, the central banks have been engaged in the greatest heist in human history. The inflation that is crippling your family is not an unfortunate side effect of war. It is a necessary tool. The Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank, led by Jerome Powell and Christine Lagarde, did not fail to control inflation. They created it. For years, they printed trillions of dollars out of thin air to prop up a failing system. The war provided the perfect cover story, the ultimate scapegoat for the inevitable consequences of their actions. They can now blame Putin's price hike for a crisis they engineered. Why? Because a collapsing currency and widespread economic pain create the perfect environment for their solution. When the public is desperate, when they have lost faith in the old system, the central bankers will ride in like knights on white horses. They will offer a new system, a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, a programmable, traceable, digital dollar, or euro, that they control completely. This is the endgame. The war creates the geopolitical chaos. The sanctions reorder the global economic map. The engineered inflation destroys the wealth of the middle class and creates a dependency on the state. And the CBDC provides the permanent cage. They are not merely trying to manage a crisis, they are steering us into it. They are using the fog of war to quietly build a digital prison, and they are counting on you being too afraid, too distracted, and too tired to notice. Every extra dollar you pay for gas is a brick in that prison wall. Every headline that screams about the foreign enemy is a distraction from the enemy within, the one sitting in the boardrooms of BlackRock and the halls of the central banks. They have engineered a crisis to seize control. The war in Ukraine is not the story. It is the catalyst for a global coup. So the stage is set. The chaos has been manufactured, the fear has been cultivated, and the public has been brought to its knees by an economic crisis they are told is an unfortunate but necessary sacrifice. This is the oldest trick in the playbook of power. They engineer the problem. They stoke the reaction of fear and desperation. And then, when you are at your weakest, they present their solution, a solution they had prepared all along. It will not be announced with sinister music and flashing red lights. It will be presented as salvation. It will come wrapped in the language of progress, security, and convenience. Christine Lagarde at the ECB, Jerome Powell at the Fed, they will stand before the world and speak of an evolution, a modernization of money for the 21st century. They will call it a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, the digital dollar, the digital euro. They will tell you it is faster, safer, and more efficient. They will promise it can stop criminals and tax evasion and deliver stimulus payments instantly into your account. They will sell it to you as an upgrade. Let us be perfectly clear. A CBDC is not an upgrade to your money. It is an upgrade to their control over you. It is the final stone in the arch of totalitarian control, the realization of a tyrant's wildest dream. It is not digital cash. It is programmable code, money with strings attached, and they hold the strings. To understand the danger, you must understand the difference between the money in your bank account today and a CBDC. Your current digital money is a claim on commercial bank liability. A CBDC is a direct liability of the central bank. This means there is no intermediary. There is only you, the central bank, and the rules they decide to write into the very fabric of your money. Imagine a world where your money has an expiration date, programmed to disappear if you don't spend it fast enough to stimulate the economy on their terms. Imagine trying to buy a steak or fill your gas tank only to have the transaction declined because you have exceeded your monthly carbon allowance as tracked by your ESG score. Imagine wanting to donate to a political cause or a protest movement that challenges the state, only to find that your digital wallet is barred from sending funds to unapproved recipients. This is not a dystopian fantasy. These are the very features being discussed in the white papers and pilot programs of central banks around the world, from China to Canada. They call it programmable money. It is more accurately described as a digital leash. With a CBDC, every single transaction you make is recorded on a central ledger. There is no privacy, no anonymity, no off-the-books cash purchase of a coffee or a gift for a friend. They will know what you buy, where you buy it, when you buy it, and from whom. This data will be linked to your digital ID, your health passport, your social credit score. In this world, dissent becomes a financial impossibility. They do not need to send police to your door to silence you. They can simply turn off your money, the kill switch on your financial life wielded by an unelected bureaucracy. This is the endgame of the Great Reset. The war in Ukraine was the demolition phase. The inflation was the psychological conditioning. The CBDC is the foundation of the new prison. It is the enforcement mechanism for every top-down mandate they wish to impose. Mandatory vaccinations? Your CBDC wallet can be frozen until you comply. A climate lockdown? Your ability to purchase fuel or travel can be shut down with a keystroke. This is why they have worked so tirelessly to create a narrative of collective crisis. A crisis requires a collective solution, and a collective solution requires the surrender of individual sovereignty. They used the fog of war to obscure the greatest heist of liberty in human history. While your attention was fixated on tanks and missiles in Donbass, the architecture of your digital cage was being built in the boardrooms of the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, the central bank of central banks. Do you see the full picture now? BlackRock and the financial giants don't just want to own Ukraine's farmland and infrastructure through debt. They want to own the very mechanism of exchange itself. They want to transition humanity from a system of relatively free capital to a system of centrally planned, permission-based transactions. It is feudalism reinvented for the digital age, where you will not own your money but will be granted conditional, revocable access to it. This is not a warning about a distant future. The pilot programs are live, the legislation is being drafted, the narrative is being set. They are counting on your exhaustion. They are counting on you being too overwhelmed by rising prices and political chaos to notice the final lock being clicked into place. They believe you will trade your freedom for the promise of stability. Do not give it to them. The time for passive observation is over. The war is not just over there. It is here, in your wallet, in your bank account, on your phone. You must become ungovernable, not through violence, but in your mind and in your preparations. Turn off the television that feeds you the fear and the official narrative. Research these terms for yourself. CBDC, FedNow, ESG, the Bank for International Settlements. Understand what they are planning. Diversify out of their system. Build real assets. Foster local communities and trade networks that are resilient and independent. Support the farmers, the truckers, the small business owners, the very people they are trying to crush. And most importantly, you must speak. Share this information with anyone who will listen. The silence of the masses is their greatest weapon. Let the truth be your roar. They can only build the prison if we walk into it willingly. They have used war to create an energy crisis, but the attack on your food supply happening in plain sight is far more insidious. In the next transition, the Watcher will expose the coordinated global war on farmers and reveal who truly wants to control what is on your plate.